Welcome back to the Old Iron Lover channel. My name is Bob, and I'm going to call this episode Out with the Old and In with the Newer. Went to an estate sale recently and scored quite a few things. And my old mentor Roy said, when you go to these auctions, estate sales, things like that, he said, don't buy anything unless you can steal it. Well, sometimes I kind of adhere to that. This was kind of a steal. This is a genuine Lista 14-drawer cabinet. I got it for 400 bucks. It came with a bunch of dividers and things and a spare drawer, which I got stored over there somewhere, and a spare set of rails. Not quite sure why it needed those, but I'm guessing I'll find out someday. Anyway, 400 bucks. These things, the new versions of these list price from the manufacturer for 2,700. So, you know, whatever little flaws it has, I can take care of for that. Gonna take you on a little bit of a handheld tour here. The Lista cabinet is replacing this old Mac tool cabinet. I don't know what I got it, how much I got it for, but it doesn't have near the storage, and the drawers are pretty stiff, so that'll be for sale here pretty soon on Craigslist or something. The drill indexes and tap indexes that sit up above there will probably be relocated to the top of the Lista or something else. I'm not sure how things are going to fit. Obviously the Lista is quite a bit taller, so I got to be able to see into the things to see what I'm grabbing. So. The Lista cabinet also came with a bunch of dividers that were loose, and the rails and the little end dividers to split the different, I guess, rows and columns into smaller pieces. Okay, this is my old Delta sander. I used that for straightening up rough edges and things like that. It's a 4x36 belt and a 6-inch adhesive disc. And it works okay, but it's got some problems. One, it's just small, and it does tend to get warm after a while. The other problem I have is there's a little stop that bolted on here. It was missing when I got it. I made one that kind of duplicated the original, and it broke off in no time. And periodically, as I'm sanding something, I'll catch it a little too hard, and the thing will go flying off the back of the belt. So I wanted to get something heavier duty, and well, we're going to go see it. Here's the new belt sander. It's a 6x48 with a 12-inch disc. It's a Powermatic, old school thing. It's got you know, cast iron everything, so much easier to get along with. It has provisions for dust collection if you want to put that in there. Right now it's wired for 220 volts, but the motor I can rewire it to 110, no problem. Here's some more views of the same thing. The one side, all the controls, the dust collector controls. Here's the disc. And the nice thing is it came with an extra disc, so I can change grits easily, although I don't. On the old one I didn't use the disc much. Maybe I would on this, I don't know. Also came with a whole bunch of belts. The motor is a 115 230 volt motor, and it's currently wired for 220. The access to the wiring panel is way back here in the corner, so I'm going to take the motor loose and move everything around. So let's get the little cover off and see what we got. Glued on there or something. There we go. Yes, there's a diagram. So we'll take all this loose, I guess, and just rewire it. Okay, so there's our incoming line. And to go with the low voltage, we want the red and the orange. And this one here has got a little red tag on it. Something must have been rewired at some point. The red and the orange on one side of the line. Red, orange, and blue on one side of the line. Okay, and the white, yellow, and black on the other side of the line. Fill the spare wire nut in case somebody wants to wire it back the other way someday. And it also says to reverse interchange the red and black leads. So if we need to, we'll do that. So the next thing I need to do is change out the plug. Alright, let's see if it goes the right direction or the wrong direction. How would I know? Let's see. Okay, it's turning clockwise here, which I assume would turn that clockwise, which will move it backwards. Okay, so I need to reverse the red and the black wires. Reverse red and black, yes. now it should go the other direction. It does, which will pull everything that way. And the blade will, the band will run the direction I want it to run. Okay, now we buckle all this stuff back up and I don't know if it came originally equipped this way. We've got a great big pulley and a little pulley, and I assume that it's on the small pulley, which is going to give us the slowest movement. And I kind of wonder if, not being real familiar with a lot of the woodworking equipment, if the big one was meant to run the sander faster for wood. I know the saws work that way, but I don't know about the sanders. But anyway, and the little one was put on to give it the ability to run on, run small enough for steel. I don't know. Well, we got the adjustments all made to the electrical, and got the shop cart adjusted so it fits better, the shop box cart. So I thought I'd just take a look at what all is available on it for various adjustments and things, see what we can do with it. Now here we have an adjustment for this table. There's the 0. This adjustment here allows us to swing it into the vertical position. This allows us to, I assume, to replace the belt. And if you're really good, you don't drop the wing nuts. I'm not really good. Okay, it's on the guide pins. I like that, that's nice. Boy, it's nice and sturdy. These covers are good heavy steel. Okay, now I'm going to fire it up again and check the belt adjustment to make sure it's centered right, tracking right. Okay, it has an adjust or a stop here that I assume is to get it exactly vertical. This looks like it's designed, although the open and close dampers for the belt pickup and the disc pickup. One last item I added to it was a piece of 3/4 inch plywood down in the bottom there. I got all the spare belts, the spare disc, the spare drive belt and all that stuff all parked in there. So I think we're all done with this. We're ready to use it. For tool grinding, I have this, I'm sure it's a Chinese made thing, but fairly heavy duty, and it works decent. You have some limitations. You got to get your angles right. You can only tilt the table. You can't do anything else. So there's a slide in it that has got a indexable fence on it. I don't know where it went, but it's around here somewhere. And so you can adjust that. But getting a compound angle is kind of a pain in the neck. So I found another steel. Get that out and show it to you. Okay, the last item is a Pdr Tool Grinder. And it's a drill bit sharpener. It can also do end mills. The basic machine right here comes with a big wedge for smaller bits, a small wedge for up to 1.5 inches, the big collet for the big bits, and the little collet for the little bits. And this one came with a bunch of the smaller and a bunch of the larger grinding wheels, and it came with the end mill kit and a piece. I don't know what it goes to yet. I'll figure that out later. And along with the end mill kit comes a wheel dresser that I didn't notice at first. But anyway, if you were to buy this brand new retail, I think it's $2,200 for the basic unit, and the end mill adapter is another $500. The wheels are each $20, so there's 6, 8, 10, 9 of them, so another $180 worth of wheels. Don't know what all that adds to, but I figure I got a bargain at $140. So I haven't tried it out yet, other than to make sure it spins and the light turns on. But it promises to be a really nice drill sharpener, and it'd be nice to be able to touch up my end mills without sending them off somewhere. So here's the new bandsaw. It's W.F. Wells and Son. I've seen these for sale several times, and very, very nice bandsaw. I mean, it's not huge, but it'll work. It's got a 7-inch by 11-inch throat that you can put material in. It's got the hydraulic downfeed control. On the other side, there's a spring tension you can use to set the downfeed force. So those are two independent things. Nice heavy jaws that look like they would stay square, unlike some of the others. Quick adjust to get in the ballpark, and then crank it up tight. It's 110 volts. Got a coolant pump on it, and the tank's back here. Next time you see this, it'll be all cleaned up and looking good. Has a material stop on it. The one it's replacing, you've probably seen in some of my other videos. It's Taiwanese. It's actually not a bad bandsaw. It's got a 4x6 throat. Strictly downfeeds controlled by the adjustment on the spring. I've made a few modifications to it. You'd see that in my introduction to the shop. I think it's part 2, where I made some changes to it. Decent bandsaw, really, but this one I couldn't pass it up. I want the hydraulic downfeed. I do occasionally throw a blade off of this when I'm cutting something thin, because rather than back the spring way off, I just kind of hold it and just ease it down by hand. But it'll snag once in a while, and as soon as it snags, it's going to take the belt off, or the band off. So this one's got a blade brush on it, the Wells does. Yeah, out with the old and in with the less old. Excellent machine. I'm really happy with it. Both the all the things I'm showing you today, the new stuff, all American made, every bit of it. So anyway, I have my son will probably be inheriting some of the older stuff, get his shop going. Okay, well, I was trying out the new bandsaw, and the first thing that happened is I broke a blade. And the ones that I found with it were actually too wide, so I had to go down into Denver and have somebody, there's a shop there that makes up blades, and they do a really nice job. The price is about the same as you'd pay for store-bought, you know, off-the-shelf things, if not a little better. Just playing around with it, I noticed that, I don't know if it's original equipment, but somebody had put some brass pucks underneath the screws to, it's a good idea, kind of protect the bar here from getting scarred up. So one of them was missing, so I built another one. It was a quick lathe project, just turn it out real quick on the lathe. So I'm ready to put the blade back on it and do the blade adjustments and see what we can do from there. This particular bandsaw will take half-inch or 5/8 blades, and I don't really see any advantage to having the blade, and it was an option. So in order to utilize it, we would have to get new rollers for different height. This bottom roller, the bottom two rollers need to be 1/2 inch instead of 7/16. And these blocks here, there's a different set of blocks for $100. I didn't get whether that was for the pair or individual, but they have a little deeper notch in them, so it would raise the guide rollers up a little bit, and for that extra 1/8 inch, it just is way far from being worth it. Okay, well, we're still not in the guide here. There we go. Okay, they're both up in the guide. Now, get them strung around the wheels. Okay, we're still on the wheels, okay. Okay. All right, so we got the blade strung into place, the teeth pointed the right direction, and the next thing we need to do is adjust these rollers. And there's a whole section in the book on how to do it, but I'm going to go on the assumption that everything but the pinch part has already been adjusted and been working for years, so I don't need to get crazy with that. So the process is to grab a hold of the blade and twist it and tighten up this roller. It's on a cam here. Tighten up this roller until the twist doesn't reflect. into the into this piece here. Looks like it about there. If we don't have it tracking right through these rollers, the blade will do this when it's cutting, and it'll wind up cutting crooked every time. Now the blade, this wire wheel here that keeps the blade clean, needs to be adjusted so it basically just barely touches it. It shouldn't engage the blade any more than the depth of the teeth. That looks like probably where we want it. We can always adjust it later. And I actually have a new brush ordered for it, so when that comes, I'll make another adjustment to it. Okay, I don't have the down pressure adjusted very well yet. They say to run it pretty light when you have a brand new blade. Make a few cuts with it first, and then come back and bring it down to final force. The book says 50 pounds, and I put a bathroom scale in there. Actually, I put a postal scale in there, and weighed the pressure of the blade sitting on the scale, and that's right now it's about 25 pounds. Yeah, it's going to take just a little slice off the end. I'm using a fine-tooth blade there, which probably is not quite right for a piece of 1¼ inch shaft. But I cut a lot of different things, and no quantities, just everything from a piece of 1/8 inch angle iron to a 2-inch piece of round stock. I do have a coarser blade for it if I want to go to that, at some point when I need to, cut a fair amount of big stuff. For most of my stuff would qualify for the smaller blade. So anyway, I think we could call that good. We will park this one and move on to the next project. I don't know why some things take me forever to figure out. But I got a travel bag here. Travel bag here for my welding helmet and gloves and that kind of stuff. I do once in a while take the MIG out somewhere and do something. Yeah, so that's kind of handy, but it's also a pain in the neck when I'm in the shop because I got to get the helmet untangled from the drawstring and all that. Well, the other day I was at a guy's auto shop and he had some cabinets for sale. So I got this little cabinet here for $4. The bottom shelf has got all my vice grips and things. Next shelf, welding helmet, gloves, a few small items. Top shelf has got, and on top of it, it's got my powder coating stuff. So that's a huge improvement there. Well, the last item on our agenda for all this estate sale stuff is to put a Shopfox card underneath the Lista cabinet so that we can move it around. It rolls pretty easily. I'm looking forward to filling it up. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and leave some nice comments if you think of anything. And if you haven't already, how about subscribing? And we'll see you on the next one.